Hey guys and gals and non-binaries and um, animals that are listening and the dead that are listening to
Hello,
our program in hell.
our friendly neighborhood felons,
Hello, Laos.
and hello, illegal immigrants. Hello, dudes and dudettes from all around the nation and
Yeah.
all around the world.
Welcome to the Degeneration Podcast special Saint Sober's Day episode. And you might be wondering, what is Saint Sober's Day, Patrice?
Saint Sober's Day happens to be St. Patrick's Day. It's
Yeah.
just St. Patrick's Day, except it's for sober people.
And it's for
you don't
Patrice.
drink. Woo!
Yeah, it's for
It's for
like
me.
yeah, it's for you and me and Wendy and Luther Danger that somehow managed to be vivacious despite
Oh,
any
yes.
pre-existing sobriety challenges or depression or mood destabilization or psychotic thinking or delusional thoughts or
Or, or depersonalization.
yeah, there,
or
that's you. Now we're getting into you. That was all just me.
polarization.
Yeah, that was all just me. And now it's the depersonalization. And the craziest thing that I've ever done is actually think that maybe someone repeatedly, not just once, put a bomb under my car, and I checked for it in a
Seriously?
parking lot. Yeah, I was like a little younger than you.
Yeah, I mean like that's a little bit of psychosis and like paranoid thinking just taking root right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it happened. That not the bomb part, but like that I thought there could be, and it was just like a compulsion of like that doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But I'm like, but I should check.
That's more OCD then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
more
know.
like
I have
I think that happens to people.
I have I have like manic hypomanic tendencies with definite depression cycles.
Yeah.
I mean, well, cycle implies it goes away and comes back. Um,
Which
there's
it
just
does in some
there's just
in
levels.
some
There's
ways.
levels, and then I have like some compulsiveness, like things that have led to compulsive gambling or sex stuff or
Yeah.
drinking, sorta, or just obsessive thoughts more than, and then like like doom scrolling less than most people do, but like just I gotta look at all of them, just little shit like that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't have.
Yeah.
What if one of your OCD tendencies was to wipe your ass raw every time?
Dude, you know what? Mm, I don't I'm
Because
not
I do it
that
by
like
accident.
I'm not too far off from that.
Do you freak
Like
out and wipe your ass too many times? I mean, your diet is like not good, and
like a little bit, but I think it stems from a couple things. It stems from having compulsive tendencies, having an already messed up like GI tract,
yeah.
and not enjoying the appearance of like poop stains on my underwear. So like yeah, I think to be honest, I probably go a little bit too hard, and it's bad because you then grow even more of a resentment grows out
To
of
your
that
body, you
towards
resent your body because you're
toward
walking around with an
yeah,
uncomfortable asshole for like the next 3 hours because you rubbed it raw.
exactly. I was also going to say you
Yes.
grow resentment towards one ply toilet paper. If you're trying to rub raw, you're ripping through that every time.
Do you have one ply at home?
No, but where we work does.
Yeah,
I
of
think every
course.
single school I've been to within the past year has been one ply.
I do you think that's
Terrible.
important? I mean, teachers poop
I
more than
think
kids, right?
well, teachers poop more than kids, and think about it this way: like you're a teacher, you're already having like a say you're having a really shitty day, and the kids just go out for recess, and you're like, man, I've got to take a shit,
Yes.
and like you get in there, you're already stressed out, and like you go to poop, and then it's single ply. Like maybe one out of like 100,000 cases might be a mental break. You don't know what that teacher's
Oh
gonna do when
yeah.
the kids come back
I
from
just
recess.
rip my butthole hairs out and just like throw them everywhere. Ah! Like you just open you look. Do you look at your toilet paper to make sure you got it? Because it helps determine if
I
you need
check.
to go in for a
Yes.
second wipe. There's two. No, actually, with us, there's probably three determinants of whether or not you're going to wipe a second, third, fourth, etc. time. The first is how it feels on your butt, right? If your butt feels moist, you're like, okay, I probably got more left. But you're still going to look at the result. You're going to look at the result to determine exactly how much, as if we're buying the toilet paper in either of these scenarios, at the ply ratio and the cost, it'd be like, I don't want to waste toilet paper. And I'm like, why the fuck do I care about wasting a school's toilet paper when they're giving me one ply?
Yeah, you don't.
How self-loathing are we that we just use toilet paper in this country in the first place? Bidets or bust.
I will say though, I think you develop an appreciation for like different types of toilet paper and toilet paper in general when you're broke as shit and you're sitting on the toilet and you look, say you're not out, but you're like, you only have like maybe 5 or 6 wraps until you're out, and you're like, and you have to make a personal decision as to whether your allotted toilet paper amount for that wipe goes from 2 squares to 3 squares, or if you buy alcohol.
Exactly. So we're getting back into the booze. You don't really know how much you have a problem if you're really good at being poor or broke, right? Because you're not really realizing fully, understanding it, grasping it, and changing your behavior based upon it. When you can quickly calculate, I would do that, but that's 3 beers. I would do that, but that's 2 drinks. I would do that, but blah, blah, blah. I would take her out, but that's 3 beers. And you're putting it into, and then those things are bad enough when they're like home goods, like toilet paper quality, and like, or like, what if that person, you might decide to play it cool and buy the first 2 rounds when you go, or God forbid, buy some semblance of a meal or food for someone that you're willing to sleep with, partner up with. That person you might click with, but you're so concerned about the 3 extra beers and you don't really understand why, how insidious that is, or anything, or that you should probably get into trading or something, or some type of negotiating-based business arrangements because you're fucking good at it. Like, you have a knack for it. And I really think that with better like financial literacy, an exploration and understanding of one's options going forward, usually in the macro, not like in the distance, but like some people that are exceptional at living just above the fray, they're gonna be great someday because that takes dedication. I'd had an Excel spreadsheet for fucking Taco Bell purchases and shit.
Well, I think it takes dedication, and there's a type of like hardiness to it, right? Like you're scraping by and like you're like still doing shit, right? Like you're surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's valuable, right?
It is.
Like
I returned cans, I did focus groups, I did everything but have a steady job for more than a couple months at a time when I was in LA for like 26 months. 26 months.
Yeah.
And I worked less than half the time, guaranteed work every work day. And
what were you doing for jobs?
Audience. Have I ever told you about my audience work?
Oh yeah.
Clapping. I was clapping.
Did you get? You got barred from what show again?
I didn't get barred from a show.
Didn't they ask you not to come back or something?
No. There was a sort of fight, and they didn't care. They didn't kick anyone out. It was like they were fighting over candy. Because they gave us like little morsels of fucking butterscotch or like Jolly Ranchers and chocolate and shit. Rarely chocolate, actually. And I was like, I had a book with me. I usually had some like snooty novel with me or whatever. I was reading like Grapes of Wrath, and I felt Tom Joad's pain because I was clapping for $8 an hour, at some shitty sitcom. Or like the worst was the court shows, those fake court shows.
Oh no.
America's Court. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's like scum of the earth right there.
It was this other people. There was this one guy had like long, super long like fingernails, but only his pinky nails for his cocaine. Yeah, and he was talking about his probation. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool. One guy got barred because, or they were gonna bar him. He's like, oh, I wonder if I could bring like a joint in there. I was like, are you fucking? I just looked at him. I was like, please go stand somewhere else.
Don't be
I did.
next to me.
No, I was like, honestly, I looked at him like, are you serious? Is that a serious question? Can you please go stand in another place? I said it like really condescending like that too. He's like, oh,
Okay.
because he had like a shirt underneath his like, or he either had a weed tattoo or a shirt that had weed on under his like white dress shirt. Whatever we had to wear, dress shirts. I was always running late to get temporary audience gigs. I would be like pounding the pavement with my loafers, listening to fucking Van Halen or Prince on my iPod, and I was
That's
like,
awesome.
and I'd be out of breath, like, I'm so out of shape but thin, but oddly gaunt at the same time, and I'd be like just in time. One time I ditched to watch a Bulls Heat playoff. This is how long ago it was. The Bulls were a 1 seed, I think, in the playoffs. That's how long ago it was. D Rose, yeah,
like,
2011, I think. And yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy, dude. I ditched it. It was American Ninja Warrior or something like that. And I was like, fuck this. I was in Venice, and I was like, Venice is kind of cool. Like the boardwalk area, there's a couple of bars and stuff. And I went and I bought like a little food or a beer or something. And I was like, I know exactly when the time is. And I missed it. But I was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. I had to go to my car for something. He's like,
yeah.
I was like, come on, man. And he's like, hand me the $45 or whatever. I was like, yes.
Thank you.
What a scumbag I was. There was one audience company that only occasionally paid people and they got shut down.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
I love the idea of that dude that was like, hey, can I smoke a joint here? Like going, and he's on parole, going to like his PO, and they're like, so what are you doing for employment? And he's like, I've been getting a lot of gigs, man. You know, I feel like I'm in it. I feel like I'm in it. I'm there, and you know, people know my name. They're like, oh, there's a Pinky Nail, right?
Pinky Nail, yeah. He was Pinky Nail was different than Weed Tattoo / T-shirt guy. The Weed Tattoo T-shirt guy was like this kind of like shorter, slightly long stringy haired white dude that looked like the only burnout on a farm, I would say. And he seriously was like, I wonder if I could bring this in here. I was like, I don't think he meant to smoke it, but he's like, I wonder if I'm still. I was like, they search you. Like, this is a television program. I was like, this is a television program. You're not at home. Yeah. I was like, you're a fucking idiot. I didn't say that part, but it was implied strongly with my curt gestures and my words and my tone like this.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was like, but then I was like, you know what? I'm at home here amongst these also definitively mentally ill or deranged people that are basically just getting free cash. I'm like, okay, so I think there needs to be some type of, in addition to financial literacy, education on how to really scrape by with things, like really scrape by, like.
Yeah, but here's
because I always did something. I'm not that bright.
Yeah.
I'm really not that bright compared to a lot of people who are. I might be more ambitious or driven in some ways, but I'm not industrious, if that makes sense. Like,
it does.
You know what I mean? Like, the putting the X's and O's together is the industrious part. And I'm not industrious. And I was able to figure these things out despite being cuckoo and fucking out of my element, super poor. This shit was, like, seriously, my options were scrape by, try to work at something that I was unfit for, unqualified for, or just like mentally not in the right headspace to do, which was virtually anything else at that point.
Yeah,
I was gone.
Right?
I was gone. I didn't know it. Or leave, go home, and probably never come back. And I wasn't willing to throw in the towel, but I always had the towel at hand limply, ready to toss it. You know, and just didn't realize it. And some people couldn't even do what I was doing to support any aspect of themselves. And I'm ill. I was ill as fuck.
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, like...
There's something to be said for that, right? I think there's a lot that comes with that.
Yeah.
At my absolute poorest, when I would be out. I would go to our like apartment complex clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I would poop there because I'd literally be out of toilet paper for like weeks at a time.
Okay, did you have like so was your scholarship for soccer, was it like a full thing or was it like
No, dude, I had like a tiny amount.
Okay,
And that was
is it
only-
because
that
it's
was
not
my
a revenue
freshman year.
sport or is it
No, just because
they
they
finagle
only
things?
they only had a certain Title IX. Honestly, is the short answer, but they only had a certain
Okay.
amount of scholarships.
Do you know the
They had to
longer
drop-
answer is no one cares about soccer.
It would depend
In
on the
America,
sport,
I
right?
mean like in a college soccer type of thing. Like people aren't like lining up to like stay home from work and check their brackets for the soccer tournament. It's cool. It's cool. Like soccer's a great sport. It's just like around the world it's more prominent and more prestigious and prominent around the world. It doesn't mean that you're not fucking talented for playing it then.
Yeah, no. I mean, just how'd we go from
Or just or deserving of a scholarship, but to just say it's Title IX is it disingenuous?
Stop bashing soccer?
It's
Stop bashing
disingenuous to just say it's Title IX. Oh, those women, that's disingenuous.
soccer. Not necessarily disingenuous. If I was saying that for the sole point of like, why you're saying, oh, why is it not a revenue sport? No, it's because they only allot. Maybe it's school specific, right?
Yeah.
They only allot 4 full ride scholarships to equal X amount of money, and they can chop it up however they want. Granted, was I probably one of the only? Was I on the lower rung of scholarship amount? Yeah.
That's all right. You get partial scholarship for playing a sport is still money for school, I got a few
Correct.
grand for being an out-of-state honors student, but that put a little pressure on me to
To perform.
drag my dick in the dirt just enough to write my name.
So, so seeing when actually is St. Patrick's Day? What day is it?
The 17th.
Oh, as in tomorrow.
As in, we're posting this in the morning, so yeah, this is about St. This is St. Sober's Day. Where were we at before I made fun of your Title
Before we
IX blaming?
Yeah, I think we were talking about single ply toilet paper. We had.
No, you were talking about being poor, and like you were good at being poor, and I wanted the specifics because I gave it down to the bone, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, what was it like as like were you paying for school, or you were just only a finite amount of thing, and you were told, or you couldn't work really because you were an athlete?
Well, I did work.
Okay.
I started working my sophomore year of college. However, I wasn't a great employee.
No, most of them
when I was in
aren't.
school. I mean, I enjoyed my job, and I was actually good at my job, right? Like the actual.
What was your job?
Was he qualified? I was coaching soccer.
For
but
youths around the area?
It was for the youths. Yeah, it was. I coached for. I'm not gonna plug my.
No, don't plug it. You say it's for the youths, and that's all they care about. That's all Laos cares about hearing. It's for the youths. We do it for the children.
Hey, quick shout out to Sri Lanka. We know we've probably gone in and out of the ears of a couple of you, consensually. But yeah, just a quick plug to Sri Lanka.
Yep. Tobago, not Trinidad.
No, Trinidad, you on our shit list.
You're on our probation, double, triple secret probation list, Trinidad. Tobago's on the number ones.
I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
I was like instructed to focus on my studies. So, and that's a luxury, I'll admit, and a curse at the same time. Because I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, I wonder if I should get like, maybe like a job would like straighten me out or something, And it probably might have, but at the same time, I might have flaked on it, or like, which made me feel worse. And when I started partying more, or tried to, or just more time in chat rooms, because we didn't have dating apps. I couldn't just sit on the toilet and meet somebody and then go halfway across campus and fool around and then come back and do the same thing again when I'm bored every day. So like I think it would have like put me on a schedule like I am now. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem for a future, Andy. Oh, excuse me. So I had like a stipend, but it wasn't from my scholarship. It was from my family, and I didn't have a full scholarship. I don't even think I had a fourth of a scholarship. I'm not sure. So, but it was somewhere between a fourth and a sixth of the total fee for Michigan State for an out of state student.
That's
Anyways,
still a good chunk of scholarship.
yeah, I worked hard for it in high school. I mean,
Yeah,
I was good in high school. Yeah, I worked hard. I was smart, but I've always been, I guess, intelligent. But then I was kind of smart too.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
There's
I
a
was not
difference.
very smart anymore. There was definitely a difference. I feel like I'm finally getting smart again, which is cool, but I'm still pretty stupid. Anyways, I had enough money to pay for, when I was like junior, senior, to pay for rent and then some food. Rent and food, and then a little bit of entertainment, which was like go to the bar. I still like scraped away,
Mm.
and it was fine, but like I never felt like autonomous at all. But I also like, I kind of didn't care. And I wasn't curious about people that were less or that were more autonomous or less autonomous. I just didn't give a shit. I just wanted to try to enjoy myself, meet someone, do well enough in school, crush it, just try to enjoy the experience. But now I think about, like, when I hear about someone that took out student loans to go to like fucking name a college.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, to like, I don't know how much that costs. Figure it out. Do some research.
Yeah, decent amount.
Don't go there.
Don't rely on us for.
Don't go there. There's no alumni base. No one gives a
it's
shit about their events. Don't go to. Okay, listen.
They have zero sports.
Exactly. If we're going, if you're, I don't know how this is overseas. It's probably a lot different. So you might want to throw this advice out if you're listening overseas. But continue to listen.
Yes,
We love you, world.
What we're gonna say.
In America, anyways, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of schools. There are thousands of schools.
Absolutely.
There are about 200 that you should even consider going to.
Maybe drop that list down to like 100.
No, because there's more than that.
Well,
but
just off numbers, yeah, you're probably right. Nah, I recant.
yeah, there's more than that. Because the thing about all the Division I basketball programs, at least half those schools aren't probably worth the penny that they're printed on, or the admissions or admission bill is printed on, whatever, ink, whatever, fuck.
Yeah, I would clip 99% of any D2 schools.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah,
they're not going to be out.
Private school, the first thing you're getting for a private school is ripped off. But the
second thing is a degree for money.
The second thing is an alumni base. So, my writing partner is really good at this. I was like, man, like, it's cool that I wear it as a badge of honor that me and him didn't go to, like, USC, UCLA, NYU. One of those three, or one of the other schools that are like a film school, known for film and stuff, or screenwriting, and we're just different. We just stumbled into it, or I sought it out, but in the same time, I sort of stumbled into that form of writing over other forms, say like journalism or narrative or fiction or poetry more specifically. Why would you study poetry unless you were doing an MFA planning to teach it, right? At least when you're younger. You might want to go now, like, I've already got my work experience, some life experience. I have a lot to write about, but I want to know that I'm doing good at it, kind of thing. And then you could go and study at a poetry thing,
No, because then you can't. I think to set your sights solely on poetry, if you like want to do something with writing, I think that's a little bit narrow-minded, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
not a good idea.
No.
Writing poetry itself is not a bad idea, but like,
because
it gets your feelings out there. What if you're too cheap or too skittish to attempt therapy? Fucking write your shit down.
Yeah.
It might focus on your way of communicating, so later you could end up getting some type of therapy, or realize that you don't have to say everything or really focus on feeling everything that goes through your head. It's good for you. Everyone should try to write some type of something about themselves.
Yeah, even if it's like keeping a a personal journal or diary and be like, today I felt sad.
Exactly.
Be
It's
like,
much
there you
better than
go.
just pushing your emotions down or just watching The Office for the fifth time. Well, like
Or masking it with drugs and alcohol.
alcohol, and alcohol. A lot of
Like
alcohol.
many, like many people do on days like St. Patrick's Day. Obviously it's a holiday and people are out and
Oh, it's an
there's a
awesome holiday.
no, it's
Only in
great.
America can you have uh, a river dyed green in Chicago. Like this is the second year in a row there's no river dyed green.
It's not. Why aren't they doing it this year?
Because it encourages people to go out in crowds and get wasted. That's what St. Patrick's
Yeah.
Day is about. It's not about Irish heritage. Just like Cinco de
No,
Mayo,
it's
it's
not.
not even a Mexican holiday mainly. It's not like
No,
one of
they
their
don't.
main
It's
holidays. It's like we cherry picked this, and it's just we can
they
market
take
it
it.
with tacos and Corona.
Yeah, it's an excuse to drink.
It's
I
Gringos
think
gone wild, man.
Gringo's got GGW.
Yeah, man. So,
Hey,
but
I
St. Patrick's
some
Day
old.
is just
Oh,
like that too. What's that?
man, I was just gonna say old school GGW, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
some those commercials used to play when I was like
Oh
8 or 9 years old at night. And
Oh,
I'd be
you
like,
watched it like Comedy Central at night?
yeah, man. I got in trouble for it one time because me and my friend, we were probably in like third grade. We like went up, we like snuck upstairs from the basement and tried to go to like the website. It was like wildwpgdvd.com. And me and my friend will still make that joke to us. And my mom came up, or came downstairs and like went on the computer and checked the history and like saw, and we got in a lot of trouble.
You didn't know how to clear history?
Nah, man, I was in third grade. I
Well,
didn't even know what I was
you weren't
doing.
that smart as a third grader, obviously. I bet a lot of those kids that we work with know how to clear history.
Yeah, because they grew up in the digital age, man.
Now, I mean, not that they're looking at bad shit, but they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna clear the history of my parents so their marriage stays together." I would clear them both. I'm like, "Oh, I guess my history got clear. That's weird, Annette. I don't know how that happened." You're right, Thomas. I don't know either. Oh, let's fuck instead.
Oh, look at you. Oh, Johnny, you saved our marriage.
Exactly. Oh, did you ever try to stop your parents from fighting when you were a kid and make it so much worse? I did that. Well, you were the baby, so it was probably shielded from you.
No, I probably did. I probably did once or twice. I don't have any specific memory of it. I'm going to segue us, though,
Yes.
into a little segment. I would like us to take turns and
Yes.
list off, and they don't have to be necessarily the top ranked instances, but 3 memories that come to mind of like embarrassing or ridiculous stories from St. Patrick's Day.
You go first because you probably have one. It might take me a while. It's been like 7 St. Patrick's Days since I partied, so.
Okay, it's been 2 for me. I'll save one of them. Okay, I really only have one good one that I can think of.
Yeah,
The
well,
others
we
I
might just go
probably
one-on-one
don't.
here.
Yeah, well, one on
But
one.
I can spin mine into a story or
Yeah,
other
sure.
stuff, other conversation to keep those ears
Keep the
moist.
pot going.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. What you got on St. Party's Day back in the day? Patrice on Patrick's Day is here to stay.
Patrice is here to rap about stuff that happened to him when he was stuck in a bad place. He had some bad thoughts. He went to JMU and he got really drunk. Yeah, that was a terrible jingle. Now, 2 years ago, I went to JMU and ended up waking up. I went down to stay with my old college roommate and hung out with him. Like, got dinner. Was down there for a weekend. Was there like a Friday night. And it
Was
St.
this when I
Patrick's
was working with
Day.
you?
I think it may have been.
Yeah.
Not a year ago this time, but 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember we were already
And-
friends though, and you told me you were going down to JMU. I was like, oh, that sounds good and
Yeah.
awful at the same time.
Yeah, this was right in the early-ish stages of our friendship.
Yes.
Um,
The
before we
prenatal
realized-
stages.
before we were aware of how crazy one another were.
Yes, I was grooming you.
Yes, you were, and I have become a poodle.
Now the groomed has become the groomer. There's our episode subtitle right there.
I love it. Long story short, I woke up naked in my roommate's bed with no phone and no clothes. Like, no clothes in the room, no recollection of, like, how I got there. And it was just such a stark, like visceral reminder that, oh yeah, this is what I did in college, and like this is what, like, I think I'm different. I've changed. No, I come back, do the same stupid shit.
Yeah, that's because you were trying to get away from that.
I was, and
like you literally left school to get away from that, and the minute you go back to visit, you're naked and no phone. And it was St. Party's Day. Did you remember the party at all?
I remember, like, the early parts of it.
Or did you go to a bar or something?
Nah, I don't think we went to a bar. It was at the old, like, club soccer house. And I remember, like, having a decent time, but apparently, like, I forgot all the good times. People were like, oh, Pat, like, you were crazy, or you were doing this. And I found my phone was still on, like, on the back porch. Like, no one had taken it somehow.
Yeah.
And it was just such, like, a disgusting, sinking feeling. And that was probably, like, one of the worst St. Patrick's
You took a bunch of
like,
pictures, or pictures were taken of you, or selfies?
Yeah, like, zero pictures. Just, like, it was such a feeling I was used to of, like, oh, okay, so what I know is, here's what I knew about the situation. It was the weekend. I drank. I woke up in a place I didn't remember, and I spent a lot of money, and my happiness level has not changed whatsoever.
In fact, it went down, yeah.
Yeah, if anything, it's gotten worse.
And you were at a college town and you spent money. You didn't live like a college student. You left like a guy trying to recapture the very thing he left from, like, to get away from. And you were naked, and it wasn't, not even with your friend. Like, you couldn't have, like, so we went there.
Yeah, right? Like, that was...
You remember thinking it would have been better if I fucked my friend, that's a guy, than feeling like this. Yeah.
Than this. It'd be like, at least it would have made the story better.
It would have been your Bowie Jagger moment, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been like, and at the end of it, I realized I fucked my roommate.
That was a Trump-like face, but not quite a Trump voice that you did. That's funny.
It wasn't on purpose either.
No, it was like yeah.
No, I remember when I can. It feels like it honestly feels like it was a couple months ago. Just the way, my brain works. But I remember literally waking up, realizing I was naked, and the first thing I jumped to in my mind, I was like, is there any chance this isn't me just being weird? And I thought through everything. I was like, oh, well, if there is, I have no idea about it.
Were you full on naked?
Oh, yeah. Completely. Even weirder, I may have had my socks on.
Interesting.
Yeah, right?
So did you piss the bed? Because you like to do that, so.
To be honest, and I actually, at that time in my life, I was a lot. Very frequently, that was, an issue. And that was one of the things that, kept going off in my head. That was oh, man, I've got a problem. This shouldn't be happening.
Or maybe you were there because you pissed the bed somewhere else. And that's why you were naked. And they just didn't tell you.
Ooh, good point. I have no idea.
To this day, you might have pissed the bed and not known.
I did think about it, though, but I'm pretty sure I did.
Did you, remember talking to any girls or anything like that? And be like, I'm from out of town.
No, I remember
that used to work.
Yeah, back when there was no, cell phones.
No? What do you mean?
Yeah, you could be like, yeah, I'm from out of town. When, they know what things from out of town look like now. You're not exciting just because you're from out of town now.
You're exciting because you got out of college, but they don't have to know that you didn't graduate.
Okay.
Or that you're on visiting. They're like, oh, that means I can be really, really adventurous. Yeah, you say that. I say adventurous. I can be really adventurous, and it doesn't matter. There's no consequences unless you have the child together. There really isn't. There's it's great. It's great.
Instinct.
That's when you're working on your night moves or whatever Seeger said,
Yeah, Bob Seger.
Fucking Bob Seger, man. That's a masterpiece,
Working
by the
on
way.
those night moves.
It's a masterpiece. I love Against the Wind
I
and Still the
I
Same
absolutely
more, but I
love
love
that
Night
song.
Moves. Fucking great.
Working on those night
Um,
moves.
I did it. I pulled off something pretty funny one time when I was visiting. I might have told you fractions of the story, but our audience in Laos doesn't know about this. So I went
Ooh,
back to
pop
visit
theory.
Michigan
Pop
State for
theory.
a football game.
Pop,
Went to a football
pop
game.
theory.
I run into a
Pop
guy,
theory.
Brett with two
Pop theory.
T's.
Andy Story Cherry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Brett with two T's. I run into at a football game. He's a DC,
Ooh.
was a DC Spartan. I think he's in another city now. A legendary drunk, but like only good natured things. But every time you're like, man, I don't even know if he's gonna remember this, but he's so charming when he's drunk. I don't know what he's like sober. Well, I remember one
Sorry,
time
we see
years
him drunk.
before that, we were like running down the stairs excitedly after Xavier beat, I think it was BYU in the tournament as like 9 or 8 seed or something, and we were like, X Xavier, respect the X, and I was like, we bonded over that. It was like the first time I think I had remembered we hanging out because I used to be relatively buzzed frequently too.
Yeah.
And anyways, I run into him and I walk into we were walking down the street and he's like, hey, I used to live there. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, I used to live at that house. You want to go? I was like, no. And they're like, but I was also kind of like, kinda. Now I do. Like they're
you're
having
like,
a
well,
part. They
now
look
that
like
you
they're having a
mention
low key party, and we're like, he wanted to go, and so I'm like, I tag along, knowing that it's gonna be weird, and I was like, I want to see where this weird goes, and
it. Yeah.
he's fucking like drunk, and he's just like, yeah, I used to live here. Like, they gave him a look like, yeah, like 12 years ago kind of thing, because it was probably like 7 or 8 years ago at this point. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's just, thanks, guys. And I was dragging him away, and he's like, let's go in this van. I was like, all right, I'll go in the van. And we get in this fucking van, and we just sit there for like 10 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, let's leave. And then we go to B-Dubs, which at Michigan State, because there's not a lot of bars there for some reason, it was like one of the happening places. And
Yeah.
I ran into I talked to my aunt, and I don't know if my cousins were there too or what, but I see my aunt and my uncle, so he starts dancing with my aunt. He's like, you want to dance? And she's like, okay. And he was a good dancer, fine. She's like, thank you. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I don't want this to go on much longer. I was like, let's go to Peanut Barrel. This is bar at MSU, and we go there. It's like a couple blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
We get in there, and there was a couple girls, and there weren't that many people in there. It's always low key in there for some reason, even though it's really good. And this girl and her friend we talked to, I was like, I couldn't give a flying fuck about this situation. I'll take the one that I'm not attracted to, and by take, audience, I mean for conversational purposes, to play wingman, of course.
Yes,
but
to rescue.
To
Right?
rescue.
Like maybe you're helping.
Yeah, I'm helping. Yeah, and I was helping myself to some bold-faced lies. Okay, so she's like, we talk a little bit. It was like, blah blah. Man, where are you from? Oh, you're visiting. And then right, and she's it's like fresh dew when you hear the words I don't live here. It's like to either gender, it's just like let's go. And so she's like, oh, what do you do? I was like, well, actually I'm a writer. And she's like, oh, if you downplay cool shit, it makes your disaffectedness sounds like humility, and it's just not. It's just bullshit. And
That's like the oldest trick in the book.
oh, it's a great
right?
trick, but I was like milking it. It's just like, I was like, what do you write? I was like, well, actually, I mean, I really am more into personal fiction or poetry or whatever I said. I think I did say screenplays too. But for now, my writing job is I actually write travel guides for Alaskan fishing expeditions.
Did
Like
you
kind of
really?
like the adventure guide kind of thing, and I write the text for that. So it's not really ultimately what I want to do, but it is writing, And she's like, oh, she was like mesmerized. I was like, this fucking idiot, fucking monster. What an idiot! What an idiot! What an idiot!
You're like, yeah, well, there's a lot of different jobs in the field, and my heart's in journalism, but right now I'm just kind of doing this thing. It's you could call it Seinfeld fan fiction, but it's just a really creative space, and I love Kramer.
You're doing it backwards though. Like you're sabotaging the proven strategy. That's what you would do. I feel like you'd be like, "Well, I'm a banker," but actually, what I really want to do is that you actually say the thing that you really want to do has to be
what you're currently doing.
No, it just has to be something that's personally fulfilling in a way that also sounds like it could make a living or make a household like run.
Possible.
Or like a dream, and not some bullshit like I'm a gamer or some fucking garbage something that would make them wet. I was dancing around it. I'm gonna fucking stick my foot in the puddle. Get
oh my
them
God,
wet.
You said whoa, you're so offensive, dude.
No.
Whoa, man. I'm not even gonna let those words come out of my mouth because I haven't done that.
What?
In some time.
Got someone wet or?
Yeah.
Or use the
No.
Use tactics. I mean, honestly, next time you go out on a vacation, if you are interested, please don't lie to someone. Be yourself. If you're not interested, lie for fun. Lie for fun is what I'm saying. I think you should lie more.
Here's the thing: lying is most of the time it's kind of fun.
My colleague, if I will say, he told some girl at a party that his last name was Chapman. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, my grandfather. I mean, it's called chapstick because my grandfather Derek Chapman invented chapstick. And then you just go into something else. You just drop a bomb and you let it diffuse. And
then they sit on it, and it like sits in their head, and it starts to poke and prod.
It was like that speech the therapist story that I told you. But that's that you got to look up. I don't remember what episode that was. I try not to repeat stories. But another time I did that was that tactic was when this girl was trying to talk to me at the bar, and she might have just been trying to make conversation. But I was like, I did the scan where I'm just like, no, there's nothing I want about this person. I don't want to talk. I don't want to fuck. I don't want to network. I want to do none of that. I just wish that you didn't say hello to me. Nothing against you, but like you're registering as a non-entity for me.
So keep it moving.
Keep it moving. So, but instead of being like curt or just like pretend like I didn't hear or ignore or like, hey, how's it going? Listen, I'm going to talk to my friends, but thanks. Instead of doing something like that, I'm like, okay. One, don't be overtly mean or curt or anything like that, because that's really not who I am normally, because when I do, it sounds icy as fuck. It does.
See, but for me, when I was drinking a lot, I was never really in control of that. Because I always thought I was funny, and I always thought when I said something, even if it was mean, like it was funny and like
I was still sober at this point.
Okay.
But I just wasn't attracted to this person. The Alaskan thing, I was drunk for, definitely. But this person, she was like, she talked to me a little bit, and then she started talking to me again, and she's like, they always get to the question because they don't have a great lexicon of things to say because they're dull. They're dullards. Women at bars, by and large, that I've met are dullards, and that's why they're at bars.
I just want to point out that was like 2 SAT words in one sentence.
What was the other one?
I can't even remember, but you know me. My brain can only handle 1 SAT word per sentence.
Men at bars are sloppy pigs, and women at bars are dullards that sometimes take their top off or dance on the table or just fall down at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what happens. Like, who are these women waiting for to talk to? They're not there. They're never coming there. No one special's coming through those doors. I'm as good as it gets. I was always as good as it gets.
You don't like this?
And you made me think I wasn't.
Yeah, you don't
Anyways,
like this flavor?
yeah, you don't like
that.
this flavor. This is all it comes in, okay? Every flavor is
Vanilla.
worse. Every flavor is worse than my vanilla. But
It
they
doesn't
were
get better
dollars,
over time either.
and she's just like, "Oh, so what do you do?" I'm like, right away, I was like, I scanned her. I was like, opportunity knocks, and I pulled my friend into it too. I was like, yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that or asked that. I mean, well, I'm just gonna tell you, me and Matt, we're actually in porn, but
Oh.
I was like, she first wasn't believing, but I made it convincing, and then I radically shifted gears. So she's like, what's happening? And Matt's like, he's really good looking. Like, he's very good looking. Even with his horrible beard he had at Will's wedding, even with his horrible beard he had, still good looking. Anyways, because it was like thick. It was thick like his cock, and it was great. But
Way to throw him a compliment.
yeah, I was telling him, I talked about your shitty beard, about your thick cock. He'll be like, oh, accept.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think she's more willing to accept, like, maybe if either they're telling the truth and I'll just go with it, and if not, they're good looking enough that I'm going to accept lesser treatment and just talk and see where this goes, because I'm shooting my shot. I think it was probably more likely the latter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, but like, I mean, it's not like, it's mostly still photography though, believe it or not. It's like kind of like, the stills, like we're like the class, like models. We're models, but we are in the adult realm.
We're in the industry.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, but she wasn't like an oh and like leave like I was hoping for it right away. She was just like surprised.
She was like, oh.
Yeah, it was like, oh, touch. I was like, yeah, but here's the seller. I was like, yeah, but it's I'm actually looking to get out of it. We both are. Because I'm trying to get into community gardening. I was like, I just want to find, you have to use the word fulfill or fulfillment.
Because then it's like you have a hole. And it like you're
you imply that if you like them, maybe you imply that they can be part of your fulfillment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's perfect.
You let them project into your bullshit world for a second, until they themselves see the weirdness or the ugliness, and they choose to end the conversation that they started.
Yeah.
Consciously, without feeling necessarily bad about themselves. I scanned this person, and without a word prior, I knew that this was the approach I was going to take. Did it work? I don't know or care, because all her feelings I'm not responsible for them.
Yeah, feelings aren't facts.
Feelings aren't facts. Fun facts. Fake news. Fake feelings. But I was like, in my twisted way, in my twisted, bored, sober way, this is what I concocted just to get off. Like, mentally. Like, I was mentally going to get off on her. Like,
I can't remember any specific conversations like that, but I remember doing that same kind of like dance, and it's a game, right? Like you're seeing how long you can keep like the charade going, right? And it's the longer you stay in the game, like the wheels haven't come off yet. Like it's hysterical.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember doing that a couple times in like people actually believing it. But I wasn't invested enough in like its intrinsic value of like, no, like this is it, like this is for the comedy. I was just being an asshole, and so like it would be funny for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would just be like a dick, and then it was like, oh wow, he's just an asshole. That wasn't funny. Like I would always.
They retract their own laughter because you're turned into a piece of shit. But the joke's on them. You were always a piece of shit. Nice mustache, by the way. It's coming in a little better.
Thank you. I think I like it. This is probably the best it's ever looked.
Yeah, you look like... Yeah, you said your dad said that you look like a gay porn star, and I said you look like Appalachia's go-to fluffer or something, because you got the tooth and you got the mustache and you got the look combined looks like you're just kind of like a swarthy hillbilly.
Yeah, like, who else can do this on command? got it down, man.
Oh, you wanted my actual St. Patty's story, though, huh?
Shoot me. You can shoot me a story, huh?
It is a short one. Okay, so it just summed up my standards, really, if anything. So I've gone on a date. I mentioned this on the show, I think, about my Taco Bell incident, where I took out this girl ish, where we went to another bar, even though she was a waitress at a bar. It was supposed to be a double hangout, double pseudo date ish. You know, I was like thinking,
double hangout, baby.
yeah, the Taco Bell double hangout, where you eat Taco Bell before hanging out with a girl, and you're at a bar with no stall doors. Ooh. So instead of taking a Taco Bell nervous, anxious Taco Bell pre-date shit, explosive one, I went across the street twice in 15 minutes to a CVS and exploded in their bathroom while she was running late, and I was like, oh god. So by the time she got there, I was just like drained, but also still wired at the same time. My friend was just there, and she didn't bring her friend, and I got nervous, and I knocked a pitcher of beer into her purse that she had just talked about getting from study abroad in London. And I was like, anyways. No. So this was the beginning of that St. Patty's week, right? This was, say, like a Wednesday or a Tuesday, like a Tuesday, and St. Patty's Day was maybe the next day, and then there was a tournament, and then there was... Anyways, a few days after St. Patty's Day, I decided to order the beer that was still St. Patty's beer, green-dyed beer from days earlier, because it was cheaper. Cheaper than the beer you get at a B-Dubs that's not the fancy cherry wheat that I coveted, not even the Michelob or whatever, but the fucking whatever the green-dyed beer is, 5 days after St. Patty's Day. Got wasted. My bike the tire was stolen. The other one was kicked in because I left it there. I just left my bike there downtown for like 5 days while I went on a March Madness bender. And so I just remember like drunk taking my busted bike home in a cab and then having horrible shits for like 2 days, and my shit was like greenish brown. Who has green shits a week after St. Patty's Day? This guy.
A true fucking
2004, baby, yeah.
Ooh, I had a taco. Actually, I have two quick stories.
Yes.
To complement that.
Yes.
My Taco Bell story is junior year, while I was poor, while I was living in the same apartment complex, whose clubhouse I frequented, the first stall, not the second one. The second one's lock didn't work that well. The first stall, that was mine. I think most of the people within the apartment complex kind of knew of me. Or I was
You're the IBS guy?
Yeah, it's like, that's the guy that always shits in the clubhouse. During this same time, I pretty poorly and maybe not entirely soberly, drove my car to a Taco Bell that late at night to go, because I really wanted Taco Bell, and I was lazy and never cooked my own food. Drove myself to a Taco Bell whose drive-thru wasn't open. I was pissed off, so I drove around and came back to main parking, parked my car, was gonna turned it off, went up to the door, I saw people in there, but they were cleaning up, and still tried to get them to let me in. And they were like, no, and had a 5-minute argument of no, you gotta let me in, you guys aren't closed yet. This is ridiculous. You guys are always open until 11. It's 10:58. This is bullshit.
Oh god, you were bashing on the window?
No. This was just it was just between me and the door. This is what I remember. Then I get back in my car and my car died.
So you basically were you were real close to getting the cops called on you, and then your car died. So it's it definitely was that guy.
And then I got back in my car, called my roommate, who was pissed, who was so pissed he had to come get me. I was like, hey dude, my car died. He was like, are you kidding? He got up out of bed. He was the only one up. He came and got me. And I remember talking to the Taco Bell staff, be like, my car's dead. do not tow it. Like, I'll be back, I swear. I remember freaking out. Ended up coming back, finally got my car towed over to, like, a AAA or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Every time I drive by that Taco Bell in Harrisonburg, I always think about it.
You got fucking towed from a fast food restaurant?
Yeah.
That that wasn't even open?
Yeah, that didn't want to serve me.
No, because when it's 10:55:88, they're closed, dude.
Oh yeah, they're done. And I don't. In hindsight, right? Like a couple years detached from that, I think I've learned that fast food workers probably don't want anything to fucking do with you when they're closing.
They don't care.
You know
Yeah,
what?
they're just
Probably
people trying to make a
anytime they're at
living,
that
man.
job. Second story.
That's hysterical.
So that's a pretty good one. You know I have IBS. Most of our listeners.
Yeah, irritable bowel syndrome, irritable patricium, IPS.
Irritable Patrice syndrome.
Yeah.
If you're suffering from irritable Patrice syndrome, Patrick may be slipping in his program.
Yes.
It was freshman year of college. Probably this was the first. So it wasn't when you were a freshman. Did you go down like a week early before classes start for like orientation?
Yeah, not orientation, but just to get acclimated. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
We started late August, and it was in like the third week of August.
Yeah, exactly. So at JMU,
it was called Welcome Week. What's that?
What'd you say?
It was called Welcome Week.
What'd you say?
Welcome Week.
Welcome Week. So yes, same shit. We called it Frog Week, some stupid acronym, but it was down there early for summer training or summer season, preseason for soccer. So it was there like a week and a half, 2 weeks early for that. And then had like a week to meet all the regular student body. And then it was like the first week of classes. So I already built up like this like kind of pseudo or like building blocks of a relationship with like a bunch of people that I had met. Like it was everyone was cool in the same mindset. Everyone was excited. And I remember I was in the same class as this girl that lived on the first floor. And I thought she was really cute. And we walked to music class together. And we like went to music class and had a good class.
You had music? You took music class?
Yeah, I took general music my freshman year.
Oh, cool.
I ended up dropping it after like a week and a half, but this was the first class, and stayed through the whole class. Like it was fine. It was probably a short class because it was the first one. Like whatever, you just go to the syllabus. But I remember my stomach started bubbling in class because there was a dining hall on campus called D Hall, and it was notorious for like giving you the runs, right? Like it would be called the D Hall Dash.
Yeah, so it was like we had an international center that had it was like a food court, and ever since I've loved food courts. Well, even before that, but did it have a Taco Bell, the D Hall?
It did not. No, this isn't Taco Bell related. This is diarrhea related. But we come out of music class, and I remember telling the girl I was with. Her name was I think it was Kelly. Her name was Kelly. I'll omit her last name because
bye, Kelly.
Obvious reasons. See you, Kelly. But I was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, I'll be right back. And we were talking about something. We may have even been flirting. And I remember I was absolutely shitting my brains out on another level in this tiny, like, 1950s, like, shitty music, like, building bathroom. It was tiny.
Yeah.
Like the light was flickering, and I remember texting her after being in there for like 10 minutes. I was like, "Hey, like, you can leave."
Well, she's like, "I'm already gone, motherfucker."
No, she was waiting for me, which is the worst part. Like I knew she was waiting for me. I was like, "Hey, I'll just be a second. Like, I'm sorry," but I was so embarrassed, and I like had to text her, and after I texted her, I was, like, suspecting I would have been in there for, like, another 15, 20 minutes. I, like, finished up really close after I sent the text. And I remember, like, opening the bathroom door, and, like, she was just walking out. And I was like, oh, this is so awkward. And I, like, waited behind for, like, 10 minutes so, like, she could, like, be on her way before I had to, like, cross paths with her again.
Did you ever talk to her again?
Yeah, I did. Actually, she was cool. She ended up hooking up with my college roommate, but he...
Did she fuck fucked your friend instead of you because you have a shitting problem?
But here's the kicker. I hooked up with her friend who was more attractive, so it's okay.
So you inadvertently in your mind upgraded because your IPS saved you ish. Your IPS upgraded you.
Let me upgrade.
But what if she was cooler than the one that you thought was more attractive because you were a dumb 18-year-old?
Well, she was cooler because the other one ended up cheating on me with one of my teammates.
Wait, so you got, not only did you miss out on the better one, you got cuckolded because of your IPS, ultimately.
In a way, yeah.
It was like, you had high-ish levels of charm, and then you had, like, this, like, unstoppable, like, aggro crag of fucking IPS, and it's, like, just caused you to get cuckolded, and you slid down in the mountain on a stream of your own shit.
Oh, yeah. So I started off my college experience really well.
Oh, I was uncomfortable with this girl that liked me from orientation, and she was like really cute, and I just didn't know what to do. And I liked some girl that was like a year below me, that was my cousin's friend that I only met like once.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe she'll come here next year. And I had a track record of doing stupid things like that put my relationship developments on hold for many, many years. And so, I mean, at least you were done in by your body and your nervous system, and I was just like anxious.
Oh, it's okay.
Yours like physical manifestations of your own anxiety, and mine was like my actual anxiety. There weren't any problems, but I was just like, I don't know what to do, and then like, let me just chase after everything else needlessly when I had it right in my lap. I didn't appreciate that. I was 18. I was just scraping and scrapping.
That's all we've been doing, man. Scraping and scrapping.
She's a doctor now, I think.
Yeah, actually, I think Kelly's in the medical field.
Like,
as well.
We just passed up on our anxieties, or our poops made us pass on.
Like, great. Like, what would have been, like, fantastic.
While freshmen, we could have had, like, I've been working on, like,
buttoned it up, baby.
year 20 of that shit, man.
Yeah. Did my screen freeze for you?
Yeah, I can see your tooth hole. Is my screen frozen?
I still see your pretty face.
Oh, that's fine. I don't need to look at your face. I know when you're going to talk and say something stupid about your body. Oh,
like always?
So, sobriety. I mean, what letter grade are we giving sobriety right now? I mean, we're coming up on if you're listening right now, this is one of the party days of the year in America, and it should be the world, because the world should, what's that fucking word, when you appropriate, yeah, the world should be appropriating St. Patty's Day and partying St. Patrice's Day and fucking making it a St. Patty's Day, right? So, what letter grade would you give sobriety so far?
Currently, also just a quick, I just got a text from my mom that said, hey, you may want to wrap it up. We can hear you down here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Sobriety grade, I would say I'll give myself 2 grades.
Okay.
In comparison to what I was doing, like within this same last week, a year ago, I'm an A. In comparison to what I was doing.
Nice.
For me currently, to where I want to be, I would say I'm probably like a B-.
That's
right
great.
Now, B- or a B. It's not perfect. I have my vices. I have nicotine, Diet Coke, CBD.
Well, that's not like. I mean, you're technically still sober with those things. Like maybe not Delta 8, but you're technically still sober, yes. Right? So
yeah.
But I mean, I'd give it a C+, and I'd give what I was doing before a D-. But it always felt so like there was always the what you thought you could get or were getting. It was like, oh, I'm so fun, so young, so fun. Or like, I'm just gonna dance, but I'm gonna have 4 drinks first. I'm like, I could have 0 drinks. I could dance as good as I did with 4 drinks. And when I have 0 drinks and I just go in and dance, I realize how awkward everyone else is too, and it's fine. But I would be like, oh, maybe I'll meet some girl in some sweaty bar, and it's just gonna be she just happens to be there too, because she went out with her friends and I went with my friends or people that are posing as my friends, that we're just acquaintances really deeply down. We don't have anything truly in common, and our souls don't
to share.
Yeah, our souls don't glow with each other in the dark. But really, you're just waiting to like half sober up and step on broken beer bottles with the lights flash on suddenly, and it's simulating how your life flashes before your eyes when you finally mercifully die. So yeah, I give it C+, D-. Enjoy yourselves on St. Sober's Day, or hopefully St. Parties or St. Patrice's Day for you. Check us out.
If you're staying.
Yeah. DegenerateNation@gmail.com if you have any stories or anything for me or complaints. I want you to donate to our sobriety. Patreon.com. Degenerate Nation. It's patreon.com/DegenerateNation. So, or hit us up on Twitter at Degenerate Nation Show, or sorry, at Degenerate Show. God, I messed up my own thing. That's why I let you do it, so because I can make fun of you.
You suck.
Yeah, I do suck. Or hit up at Degenerate Wendy and give her your silly recipes, and tell her what type of sex toy to get. Well, and she can use it on air next time. Okay. Yeah, what do you think of that, Patrice?
Okay, bye.
Bye. Don't drink.